I am really excited that Joe Thompson is back with us again tonight. Joe is one of our amazing CodeHS teacher trainers, and he is going to be leading us through this awesome workshop tonight. So we have a couple of links for you. I did toss this first link into chat, but I'm going to go ahead and drop this in again. So there we go. This link is going to give you all of the links that Joe uses tonight, the links to the slide. If you need, and if you're curious about the videos that Joe plays, I've linked those there too. We often get asked about those, so I thought I'm going to be proactive this time. So you can go ahead and grab this. I'll make sure that we can also, that I'll send this out to you in the follow-up email. All right, let's go to the next slide.
Let's go. What am I doing? Clicking here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Oh my goodness.
It's all good, Joe. So this link, and I don't think we need this, so I'm just going to mention it. This is our sign up link. So if you don't have an account, you can go ahead and sign up with CodeHS at codehs.com/sign up. But I'm pretty sure you all have accounts, so we can go ahead and skip right on past this. If I guessed incorrectly about that, just send me a message and I can help you get signed up. We have one other link here, and this is going to be the attendance link. If you would like to receive a certificate for attending this webinar tonight, you can go ahead and click the link that I just tossed into chat. That is going to just take your name basically and say, yep, they were here. Excuse me. Yep, they were here. And then I'll go out and send out the certificates probably right after this workshop tonight. So, all right. And I think with that, you've heard enough from me. So I'm going to turn it over to our amazing CodeHS educator and teacher trainer, Joe Thompson. So take it away, Joe.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's great to be here with all of you guys tonight. And you're going to see a couple of videos that are somewhat related to Artemis, which is having a big moment right now because they actually got the rocket off the ground. And I'm very proud of those guys. The other opening thought I had is that I'm going to be talking about sort of guide on the side approach, but I don't want anybody to think that there aren't 100 different ways to teach a class. And I've been so impressed with the many teachers and teaching techniques that I've seen, including direct instruction. And CodeHS also manages direct instruction very well. That it's a great tool for people who are used to being in front of the classroom and teaching that way. So Artemis is having its moment. Let's take a minute and a half and take a look at this video.
You probably dreamed of this. Probably replayed this moment 1,000 times. You probably imagined the awe-inspiring, indescribable rush of the ride. You probably celebrated the miraculous, cheered the momentous, and mourned the shocking. You probably still dream of what could be. We do. We do. And while many thought we were through, no. We've been learning, we've been building, we've been training. And now it's time. Because the next frontier is not just for the next generation. It's for this generation. It's for me, and it's for you. For everything you still dream about. As Artemis.
All right. Pause that. Go to the next slide. Whoa, this is what always happens, Lori. Oh, okay.
You did it again.
Yeah, I'm an expert at this now. How am I going to do this? Let me go to the next slide this way.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. So having said that, I'm, sort of a guide on the side, I still think there are some things your students are looking to you to explain to them. And those of you who do direct instruction are better at this than me, but we got to get in there. And we're doing with AP CSA, we got to do some explaining about why it is that we're teaching this language that is very verbose. The syntax is annoying. They use keywords like static and this, that are confusing. And what I keep coming back to in explaining why Java is important, and thank you CodeHS for leading off the course with something about why Java is important. I tend to think that it's better to hit this topic maybe after your students have gotten into writing a little bit of Java code, and then they've had a chance to see, just how difficult or tricky the syntax is, and how they're really going to be wading through some deep water when they're learning the Java language. But I keep coming back to the idea that Java is used for big projects, and that because you're teaching object-oriented programming, you're teaching them a language and a style of programming where multiple teams of programmers in multiple cities can work together to build a really gigantic project, something that covers every SKU and target, or multiple pieces of an airplane that are being built in different places. Java is really good for those things. We can't write a simple example or a simple exercise of a gigantic piece of code. So we have to have a little bit of faith, students, that we're learning something that's going to be tremendously useful when we're building big projects. And then, of course, we keep coming back to these 4 huge words that are key features of the Java language: abstraction, decomposition, polymorphism, and encapsulation. And those are things that you will want to find ways to sort of wedge into your courses, and you can actually get at them pretty quickly. In module 2, for example, abstraction, I usually talk about, that when you drive your car, you don't know how all the brake systems work, but you know that when you push on the brake pedal, the car slows down. Decomposition is super important in dealing with large things, breaking them down into smaller components. Polymorphism also becomes, more and more important as an idea, the bigger the project is that you get. And then this last one, encapsulation, I like to say that if you have an important enough project, it becomes very important to protect your instance variables and do things in such a way that other parts of the code can't mess directly with the instance variables, which is why we have to write getter and setter methods, which is a part of object-oriented programming. So I like to sort of turn this whole discussion, and you're going to have students complain, about what a pain Java is to write. And I kind of agree with those students when they say that. And I say, but, these are features of the language that we're learning to write, and that's ultimately going to get you guys paid. So let's push forward. Another thing that I hit fairly early on, because I want our students to understand that they want to be iterating. They want to be writing code and running it. They want to be writing lots of exercises. They want to be moving. They don't want to be spending 2 weeks looking for the perfect solution to one exercise. And to do that, you need to embrace failure. And I think the best model of embracing iteration and failure is the Oracle spiral model, which is a little bit certainly different from waterfall and even different from typical agile. So what I'm going to do here is see if I can create a whiteboard. It should be, maybe it's here. Here we go. All right. This is always the stunt here. Draw. Okay. Maybe I can't do it. Okay. How many do you guys have a piece of paper there? You could get a piece of paper and make a plus sign in the middle of it. And then you could, let me see if I can do this.
I wonder if you'll have to move your slide deck. If
Let's
it's,
maybe do that.
yeah. The whiteboard in Zoom should be enabled if
Oh,
you.
there we go. I've got it. I'm drawing. I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to do it right here.
Perfect.
This is going to be the ugliest drawing you guys have ever seen, but I'm going to give you Oracle Spiral right now. So what we have with Oracle Spiral is a big plus sign, and you can do this on your whiteboard, and you can do it way better than I can do it. And we've got 4 quadrants here. We've got, let me get out of there. There we go. We've got requirements. And we've got, go back here, design, which is roughly equivalent to your rough draft or your outline of your English paper. And then we have implementation down here. And then we have testing. And this is a corporate philosophy at Oracle. And it's a critical part of their whole software development process. Now let me go back to draw, and I'm going to talk about how I use this. So when we first, nobody's going to pay us to just write whatever code we feel like writing. Every coding assignment, whether it's an exercise in CodeHS or whether it's the AP exam or whether it's a corporate project or an agency project that we're working on, it comes with some requirements. So, let's get rid of the idea that we're all just starting at tabula rasa. We're not. We're trying to satisfy somebody's idea of what we need to be doing. We're going to be doing a lot of creative stuff to solve their problem, but we always start with some requirements, and it frequently will turn out that we didn't pay quite close enough attention to the requirements to get the solution we wanted. So let's get the draw thing going here. Okay. With this, I think. Boom. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to look at the requirements first. We're going to look at them pretty closely. And, some of you guys teach by having your students make comments in the code before they write any implementation at all. And that would include some of the requirements. And that's a really great thing you can do. And in response to these requirements, we're going to make a design, which is like a rough draft of an English paper. And that design is going to say, first, I'm going to lay out these instance variables. I need to do these steps to solve my problem. And maybe I need some getter or setter methods, and then I need some print statements in here, but I'm going to put those in a sort of rough form before I write any code at all. And if you're like me, you notice all our students just want to jump right in and start writing code. And we're kind of trying to dissuade them from that and get them to take a good hard look at the requirements and design a solution to the problem. And there are also some students, when you get started with coding, they get kind of used to a quick look and then jump right to the solution. So it may be a case where some of your students will get going, and then you have to kind of reintroduce this spiral concept to them as the problems are getting more complex. And then the third part of the 4 that Oracle talks about is implementation. And here we're writing code, and we want to be, of course, careful in writing our code. And then we got to run it and see if it satisfies, what we were talking about. And then we get to this first time around. So the first time around, we get to this X, and my students are thinking, as I show them this, okay, this is the part where my code runs and I can move on and do the next exercise. And I have to tell them it never works this first time through. And you actually have to take another trip, according to Oracle, all the way around the spiral. And of course, you can move a little quicker this second time through. Looking at the requirements, looking at your design, because you might have had a design that isn't, you might have chosen to use a for loop, and there might be some better way of writing the code than that. And then you can do some debugging or look at your implementation. Maybe there's another library out there that you could use, and then you test that. And then Oracle says that the second time you go through this loop, you probably have something good. So the key here is all this iteration that's going on, all this trying, all this in CodeHS hitting the run button. Iterating is absolutely critical to success. And you want your students to iterate and move and evaluate what they've done. And I just can't say enough good things about using this Oracle Spiral. It's worked well for me, and I look at my courses actually the same way. Okay, so let's move. Now that I've done that, if I can actually change the slide. Guess I'll have to save that. Move on out of here. Let me close this. Let me see if I can move now.
Trapped
There we
on
go.
spiral.
The spiral is going to follow me for the rest of the thing. All right. Now let's talk about badges for a second. I look at certs as kind of important. A lot of you are aware that CodeHS offers certifications. Well, you don't really have to even go to the full-blown certification. You can treat badges as mini certs, and that's a part of being a guide on the side. Is what kind of goals are you setting for your students? And attaining badges is something that they really like. I actually have now gotten in the habit of printing out the badges, and it's relatively easy in CodeHS to print a badge out, and it's got the student's name on it, and you sign it and hand it to them. They really seem to like it, so I'm going with that. These are some of the badges that I make. I'm going to start to move quickly here. Let me see if maybe I can. Let me see if I can get rid of this annotation that I made. Clear all drawings. There we go. Right. So these are some of the badges that I use. I have a 30% badge. I have badges for every 10%, and I don't always give them all out, but they're there. These are pretty easy to make, by the way, in CodeHS. And this is when I was saying you can treat a badge as a cert. You know, printing these out, if you have a color printer you can use, or even not a color printer, I guess, and just handing them to the student with your signature on it is kind of a nice thing to do. Projects can be badges. I look at the tic-tac-toe project as sort of a landmark in Java because it's multiple classes and 2D arrays. So, you know, I like making a big deal out of completing these projects, and you have chatbot also, and then you have some of the built-in or college board projects you can tackle. You can give a badge for completing a certain section of the CodeHS course. And then you can do things like, you know, create some things that you value in your students' coding. Maybe they're good at documentation, and you might want to create a badge for documentation. And, you know, if I see a student that's doing some abstraction in their coding and I like that, I give them that. A badge for just getting going is a nice one too. 50% using IntelliJ. You can see where this can go. And there's another project one, the Battleship one, AP Classroom, etc. So you can maybe want to make a couple of notes about possible badges that you might want to make. And now let's talk a little bit about this Hall of Fame idea. It's certainly very well received when the last time I broached this with a group, and it's going well. I was just telling Lori today that I had a couple of students come in and ask me if something they had done was Hall of Fame worthy. So they do seem to pay attention to this, and it can be as simple as putting a giant Post-it on your wall and creating a Hall of Fame. And what it lets you do is point to students who've done things, who've either accomplished something or done something in a unique way or brought something to your class that's notable. What achievements of your students are you most proud of? Those can go in the Hall of Fame. This is an example of one of the ones that's on there. I have a few students that have gotten Android apps on the Google Play Store. And then there's some tough challenges that people do this. And then I had one guy in my mobile class who was decided to be, with my encouragement, a little more of a product manager, where he was sort of roaming around helping people build their apps rather than building his own. And so I put him on the Hall of Fame for that. Certs are a perfectly good thing to get in the Hall of Fame, and you know it's going to get kind of ragged. Expect it to get ragged as you mark things on there, and you may have to redo it every once in a while. I've had some people who won the Stokes, which is a nice scholarship that the NSA offers. And you can see fried eggs are pretty common or a pretty available one for your JavaScript people. Then I have that sort of side by side with some people that put a Burp Suite on. you can do all kinds of things with a Hall of Fame, and I encourage you to do this. All right, so one more thought on iteration, and particularly this idea of embracing failure. I wasn't joking about embracing failure. There's a culture at SpaceX of sort of being proud of how frequently they iterate and how they learn from actually pushing the button and hitting the rocket off the launch pad and watching the way it's going to blow up, and learning from that and making it better the next time. So I have a little video here on that shows you how, say, SpaceX sort of celebrates failure. Let's see, hold on. I went the wrong way. I got to go back now. How do we go back? There we go. Let's see if we can get this going. Now, Lori, let's see. Nope. Let's go back.
Try that one again. Go ahead and click on that.
Okay. There we go.
Got it. I love this video, and it's a little hard to hear the music, but you'll please go back and you don't really need the audio with this, but the music is just great with it. So
Okay, let me see if I can stop that before it runs again. Okay. So, you know, the people in aerospace will tell you, and there's probably some guys in aerospace are here or with aerospace backgrounds here tonight, that space is very hard. And I don't mind in my practice teaching, talking about Java being a hard language. It's just tough. And it's gonna be full of pulling out your hair and wanting to throw your laptop out the window, and it's just difficult. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. That just means it's not fair to expect that things are just gonna go from one success to the next, because they're not. Let me see if I can get to the next slide, Lori. There we go. So with this understanding that Java is hard, it's a difficult language, the syntax is hard, it's verbose, it takes a lot of time just to write a bunch of code. It takes 8 lines of code to write hello world, or 8 lines to write hello world. We want to be watching out for our students to not get stuck. So we want to impart this whole idea that this is hard, there's going to be tough spots, but we want to keep moving, and we want to try to get through those first 8 modules of the course by mid-March. And that means as we look at the course, we want to look out for very difficult exercises. We want to look out for long modules like module 2, which is one that can really stop people dead in their tracks in the fall. And all of a sudden you're looking up at the surface of the water in like late November going, why am I still in module 2? You know, and we have to kind of find ways to keep moving. Projects are also another place where that can be sticky. So we want to sort of always have this idea of we're moving, and no, we're not perfect. We haven't mastered all string methods in the AP subset perfectly, but we're going to keep moving. And then we're going to come back in March and April and sort of synthesize. We're going to put it all together down the road. We have to have a little bit of faith that we can keep moving, and it will make sense. So another thing I like to use, I think I might use it as much as anybody, is use the CodeHS PGs. And sometimes the best way to work, sometimes a good way for me to work that I've found successful is to start with a PG and work backwards and get them copying code in and running it, and then we talk about exactly how it's working. Are there other approaches to the problem? Apply Oracle Spiral to the whole course. Have them get through the jargon by naming the components of running code. The CodeHS sample code is awesome, so do not overlook that. Don't ignore it. CodeHS samples, and spending a little time talking about those samples can be just tremendously helpful.
Hey, Joe, can you just take 1 second to go back?
Sure. PGs are the CodeHS problem guides.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. So they're a tremendous source of help, and they actually have quite a number of them have sort of technical details and answers to questions that will be your students' questions will be sitting right there with a nice explanation. So I use the CodeHS problem guides heavily. That's just one thing I do in my practice. So now let's take a look at specific modules and lessons to look for sticky spots and pace in this course. One is pretty straightforward. It's a chance to begin code and getting used to coding in Java. And then 2 can be a really long one. And that's one of the ones in the fall you want to be careful not to get stuck there. 3, the Booleans, I think is a good one. It's a nice recovery module from 2. I'd say maybe 3 weeks or so there. And then iteration would be another, Iteration would be another 3 weeks or so. And I'd be looking to get through the first 5 modules before your winter break so that you can spend January and February doing 6, 7, and 8, which I look at the course as revolving around arrays, array lists, and 2D arrays. If you look at the AP exam, there are tons and tons of questions, including a lot of the FRQs that deal with arrays, 2D arrays, and array lists. And you're going to have to tell your students that they've got to chug through the first 5 modules so that we can get to 6, 7, and 8, and then we can start seriously discussing preparing for the exam. So let's look at the next few.
Hey, Joe, another quick question. Where
Sure.
is the course right now?
Right now, my guys are finishing up module 5. So we're going to do a module 5 quiz probably first week back from Thanksgiving break, and then we'll start chewing on module 6, which is arrays.
Awesome.
And no, we do not have perfect understanding of everything, and I've seen some really interesting quiz scores, but those guys all have faith because I told them they have to, that it's going to all come together down the road. And for example, just as one example, Lori, and I think that's a great question, I find that there's a lot in module 5. Whoa, here we go. This module 5 writing classes, there's a lot of module 5 that goes back to module 2. And you start talking about constructors, getters, and setters in module 2, and then you find yourself visiting them again in module 5. So module 5 is actually helping you reinforce and understand module 2. And when people start seeing the particular things going on in module 5, they don't feel so bad about not having had a perfect understanding of module 2. So that's one example, Lori.
Joe, I like the way you described that. And I'll tell you from my own experience, because I had to come to Java myself as somebody who had no experience with it. Module 5 was when I made my understanding and when it clicked for me. So
yeah, and you're gonna want to have that sense of tying it together, especially before you dive into these 6, 7, and 8 arrays, array lists, and 2D arrays, because you'll be using those and pulling together all the lessons from 1 through 5 to make 6, 7, and 8 happen. So the heart of the course, in my opinion, is arrays, array lists, and 2D arrays. And even there, you still want to keep moving. You definitely want your students in this course to develop a good comfort level with arrays, array lists, and 2D arrays. And the way to get a better understanding of what an array is, for example, is to look at what an array list is and how does it differ from an array. And then to go on and look at what a 2D array is and go, oh, I kind of think I understand more of what an array is now that I've made a 2D array. So this idea of motion and the Oracle spiral should be sort of propelling you forward in the course. And then you'd be looking to synthesize and review during March and April in preparation for the exam that's in early May. Inheritance and recursion are both short modules, and recursion is another one where you can get sort of stuck because it's an awfully tough idea to get your head around. But if you move through 6, 7, and 8 in say January and February, and you're looking at inheritance and recursion in early March, you should have left yourself a good 4 weeks to really, or more longer, to work on review and synthesis. And you're going to certainly want to have your students spending time doing FRQs in class. You're going to want to look at some of the CodeHS AP review material that's there. And, the AP isn't the be all and end all, but this is an approach to the AP that will develop your students' confidence in their Java coding. So this is kind of how I like to do it. There are 3 important documents that the College Board offers, and I highly recommend that you use these in your practice. One of them is the quick reference guide, and this is of course the guide that you use, that your students are given when they're given the AP test itself. And I like to have my students have that in front of them almost all the time so that they can look at what the College Board thinks is critical and have a better feel for what the AP subset is. And you can get it right now at this link. And there's another document that has the AP subset, and that is everything that is in the Java that is going to appear on the AP exam. And it's interesting by virtue of what it excludes. So there's some things that aren't in the AP subset that are really useful, like switch and try and catch. But this is a very useful reference point, this AP subset. I highly recommend that as you're figuring out how you're going to teach your course, you use this. And then there's an AP course description, which is from the College Board's point of view, what every module, every lesson, and every topic has. And that's about a 200-page PDF. And I occasionally will meet a teacher that doesn't have this document, and I think that's a really good one to work from. These College Board labs are useful. I think you got to instill in your students the idea that they're going to have a project to do. And again, this is sort of a guide on the side kind of thing, where we can't do a project from the front of the room, but they've got to get themselves organized and make some progress on these projects. And certainly this Magpie chatbot is a good one to go after. Some of the older labs are still worth doing. Certainly building a card game is a great idea. I happen to think tic-tac-toe is kind of a landmark project in Java at the sort of high school level, first year level. And I would encourage your students to try to build a tic-tac-toe game. Let's go forward. Yeah, there we go. I'm mentioning tic-tac-toe there, or a simple card game. When I am teaching a CodeHS lesson, I typically will use the slides. I rarely will show the video in class. Videos are nice. I have some students that really like looking at those, but I typically use the slides. There is one tool in CodeHS that is a student activity tracker, and you're going to have to go find it. It's a grid. Lori, maybe you can help me figure out how to communicate this to people. It's a grid that shows exactly how often they've logged in and when they've logged in and what intensity they've logged in at. And of course, we want to push our students to develop a regular habit of going into CodeHS and not try to cram all their activity into just a few days. And you'll be able to see that in CodeHS, this time tracking thing. I'm going to go really quickly through these next couple of slides, just a little bit about my journey, and that's influenced how I've turned into kind of a guide on the side teacher. I started as an IT guy, mainly because I could do that as a home-based business. And then I became an IT guy at a school when one of my customers said that the school that they were very heavily involved with needed an IT guy, and they liked my work. So they asked me to go apply there, and I got hired. And I worked there for 5 years. I really liked working with kids. I coached some soccer there. I took some teaching classes at community college, but I didn't really think it was going to happen because it looked like a long journey to the public school documentation that I would need. Didn't have a teaching certificate. And then I got hired by a different school as a promotion to be an IT director. And that job carried with it a small class, one class called computers. And it had originally been hatched as an idea of like how to teach students how to use Microsoft Word and, how to back things up. But I started teaching this course on the old outline, and the students were super bored. And so we started fishing around, and we tried CodeHS, and it was just like perfect right from the beginning. It was such an incredible experience. They were very excited to be in a gamified atmosphere, and they liked the idea of learning to code, and it just was fantastic. The course CodeHS, even at that very early stage, satisfied some wants that these students really had, and they were coding in other classes and telling all their friends to get involved with this, and the thing just blew up. I can't even describe the growth that happened thanks to CodeHS at that school. And let's just keep going here. This is a nice picture of them doing coding in another class. And Jeremy came by and visited our school in 2015. And there was like having the Beatles at the school. They all ran out to his car. It was just a great experience. There's Jeremy, by the way, with my students. And then at the end of that first year, with feeling smug and having everything having gone so well, the assistant head walks into my classroom and goes, "You're teaching AP Java next year." And I had never written a line of code in Java, and I was suddenly just really terrified about what was going to happen next. At that time, there was no AP Java course on CodeHS, but my guys, they were fooling around with it, and my guys baited some of those lessons, and I just dove in. And one of my students that first year, so the next year, one of my students managed to get a 4, which was unbelievable. I can't believe they did that. AP Java is super hard. The CodeHS course is vastly improved. I love the second iteration of it, this Mocha version. This Nitro version that's out now. And, I think there are a lot of you guys who are out there who are kind of in my seat where you wonder, I'm not the world's greatest Java coder, you're saying, and what am I doing teaching here? And it's just something that we're all, I think, wrestling with to some greater or lesser degree. And Java is just part of this journey that these students are on. I took some students up to Dartmouth College, long story there. In 2017, I got recruited up to Avon Old Farms. I taught there for 2 years. And my dad got sick. I came down to Maryland, and I'm working at McDonough School. This is my 4th year here. Let's keep going quickly. And I've been pretty successful. We won CodeQuest, and I give a lot of credit to the CodeHS thing, and to, I think maybe what boils down to even more than being guide on the side is you have to feel, what is your gut telling you about how you ought to teach this course and how you ought to use this incredible CodeHS platform. And I think if you listen very closely to that, it's going to work out well for you. And I'm getting a little bit better at Java, which is nice to know too. Let's just keep going. My desk and my podium is in the back of the room. I don't go up to the front of the room very often. I have comfort objects in my room. I have ugly dolls in there. I have a Wally. I've got some Minecraft stuff. Use the problem guides. That's me repeating myself. And when you're feeling apprehensive, that's a mirror of what your students are feeling. Coding is tough. One big thing I would encourage you all to do is do everything you can to get your students to stay in touch with you after they graduate. And they'll tell you, they'll give you some interesting stuff, and they'll give you confidence moving forward about what you've done for them and what CodeHS has done for them. You need to dream, and you need to encourage your students to dream, and you need to have them see that you're trying to find better ways to do things, and you're trying to help them and help the world get better. There's some nice offline materials in CodeHS, the CodeHS handouts. And I think we're almost done. I do want to show you one more. I told you I was going to give you a lot of space stuff tonight, but this is a long, hard-fought, hard-won moment for Artemis, and we're going to just take a look for 3 minutes at the original Artemis vision here. And they're not going to make it in 2024, but I am sure they're going to make it.
50 years ago, we pioneered the path to the trail we blazed, cut through the fictions of science, and showed us all. Today, our calling to explore is even greater. To go farther, we must be able to sustain missions of greater distance and duration. We must use the resources we find at our destinations. We must overcome radiation, isolation, and extreme environments like never before. These are the challenges we face to push the bounds of humanity. Going to the moon to stay by 2024, and this is how.
This all starts with the ability to get larger, heavier payloads off planet and beyond Earth's gravity.
For this, we designed an entirely new rocket.
Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production
And more in testing.
this system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions. We need a capsule that can support humans from launch
Through deep space and return safely back to Earth. For this, we built Orion.
This is NASA's next generation human space capsule.
Using data from lunar orbiters that continue to reveal the moon's hazards and resources.
We're currently developing an entirely new approach to landing and operating on the moon. Using our commercial partners to deliver science instruments and robotics to the surface, we are paving the way for human missions in 2024.
Our charge is to go quickly and stay, to press our collective efforts forward with a fervor that will see us return to the moon in a manner that is wholly different than 50 years ago.
We want lunar landers that are reusable.
that can land anywhere on the lunar surface. The simplest way to do so is to give them a platform in orbit around the moon from which to transition.
An orbiting platform to host deep space experiments and be a waypoint for human capsules. We call this lunar outpost Gateway.
The beauty of the Gateway is that it can be moved between orbits
It will balance between the Earth and Moon's gravity.
in a position that is ideal for launching even deeper space missions.
In 2009, we learned that the moon contains millions of tons of water ice.
This ice can be extracted and purified for water, and separating oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel.
The moon is quite uniquely suited
To prepare us and propel us to Mars and beyond.
This is what we are building.
This is what we're training for.
This we can replicate throughout the solar system. This is the next chapter of human space exploration.
Humans are the most fragile element of this entire endeavor, and yet we go for humanity. We go to the moon and onto Mars to seek knowledge and understanding and to share it with all. We go knowing that our efforts will create opportunities that cannot be foreseen. We go because we are destined to explore and see with our own eyes. We turn towards the moon now, not as a conclusion, but as a preparation, as a checkpoint toward all that lies beyond. Our greatest adventures remain ahead of us. We are going.
We're going.
Okay, so there we go. I think we're good. All right. Make this smaller. Hang on. Well, let's see if we can make this smaller.
I think you can, if you hit escape, it should.
Let's do that. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. Whoa, there we go. I did it again. There we go. All right, Lori, I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you so much. That is, love hearing about how you approach teaching APCSA, and I know I even feel better about where I am in my own Java skills and when I'm teaching Java still. And all of this information has just been awesome. Thank you so much. So we do have some more resources to show you. CodeHS does have a ton of APCSA resources. So if you're just getting started with this, or even if you have used this for a while, you might not be aware of some of these. So you'll definitely want to check out our APCSA hub. This is a great place to go to find all things APCSA on CodeHS. And by the way, these are all found on that link stock as well. So I made sure these were all on there. There is also the CodeHS review course. Definitely take a look at that. That's going to be something you'll want to add into your course. And by the way, you can customize your course with any of this stuff, whether you are free or pro. So keep that in mind as well. APCSA FRQ Center, this is going to be a great resource for you. And I can pretty much guarantee you we will be having another workshop on APCSA FRQ Center in the next probably next few months. So, and then the CodeHS question of the day. We have quite a few questions of the days available now, but we do have one for APCSA, and you can grab that link on that links doc to go ahead and subscribe to that. You can subscribe, your students can subscribe, and you can answer a question of the day every day. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. I think we have a few more resources.
Oh, sorry, Lori.
Oh, no problem. So, yep, we do have a few more resources. These are a little bit, well, I don't want to say generic, but not quite APCSA focused. So if you are interested in becoming a CodeHS certified educator, we do have a link for that, and I've added that to the link stock. You can certainly join the CodeHS community on Slack. You can follow us on social media. By the way, we do have a TikTok account if we have any TikTokers out there. So definitely follow us on social media. And we also do have an APCSA Facebook group as well. So you may want to jump out to Facebook and join that. So does anybody have any questions for Joe? Joe, it's been kind of an active chat.
Good.
So we've been having little discussions.
Great.
Daniel is super close to you. So sounds like you two are very near each other.
Great to hear.
Let's see what else. Yeah, we've been having some good discussions. So.
Well, that's terrific. And thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, and I just happened to see this, Daniel. I missed this. My school system blocks the slides for students. Oh no. Good to know.
What is blocked is that the students can watch the videos, but they can't click on slides because they're Google Docs. Now we use Google Docs, but it has to be a school system created Google Doc for the students to access it. And your docs are, and I mean, I could go one by one and, actually, I don't know if I could download them, but that's just way too much.
Yeah, that's a lot. Oh.
So, yeah, that's a little quirky, annoying thing.
Yeah, so when they click that, they can't see it in the platform either?
No, they can watch the video. They just can't. They don't.
When they click the video or the slides link,
right? They get a screen. This is blocked screen.
Oh,
you don't have access to this. This is not. So.
Do you have it as an educator? Can you?
I do. Yeah, with the teacher account, I do. Yes.
So I would suggest that you consider, in addition to going through having your student watching the video as a class, that you just take them through the slides and have it be.
Oh yeah, I do that. I'll go through the slides, and because that way I can pause and stop and
Great.
But
That's
if
fantastic.
they want to stop at a particular point, they kind of got to use the time slider and hit pause.
Yeah. Oh.
But
wow, I don't know what to say there.
Yeah. No, I'll make it work. It's just
definitely another hurdle, which stinks. So, sorry about that. If I think of any options for you, I will definitely get in touch with you about that.
Now, I will say something that I like about what I'm hearing, and that is that this educator, Lori, is sort of strapping on the challenge, and they're sort of fighting it with the students, which is ultimately that's exactly the type of, you and me against this course, you and me versus all the difficulties of Java, and that's a good way to be, I think.
I completely agree. So yeah, we appreciate all you are doing for and with your kids. So thank you for that. There was one thing I wanted to mention because I did put it into chat, but I want to make sure the whole group hears this. One of the things that we have done this year, and this is very recent, within the past couple of months, we have started rolling out alternate exercises for several of our courses. I just had that pulled up for the whole list, but I can tell you that APCSA Nitro is on that list. So you can access alternate exercises. So if you want to change those out and choose a different exercise, and they're very subtle changes. I didn't even realize we rolled them out, and I was actually preparing to lead a Java session, and I pulled up one of the exercises, started going through it to make sure I still knew how to do it, and didn't really read the directions, to be very honest. I thought I got this. And I did not got this at all. So then I realized, I'm using an alternate exercise. It looks very similar, but things are changed just slightly. So when if they do try to copy and paste, find that from another site. If it's an alternate exercise, it will not work. So I absolutely put the link for a knowledge base article in the links. So you know how to get to those alternate exercises. The good news, alternate exercises are available for all teachers, free and pro. So awesome. Any other questions from anybody else?
Thank you all for coming tonight. It's been great being with you.
This has been great. We do have one more link for all of you. If you could take a moment, and I'll go ahead and drop this into chat.
Thank you, Joe. It was very, very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead and take a moment to click on the workshop survey. We'd love to hear your feedback. Let us know how we did, and let us know what else you'd like to hear. We love hearing what you all want to see, and chances are we've got somebody who would love to bring that to you. So by all means, go ahead and fill out that survey. That definitely helps us out. I will also be sending out a workshop follow-up email. Should be sometime tomorrow afternoon. It'll take me just a little bit to process the video, but I'll send out the video recording, all of the links, and all of the information that comes with this. So you can feel free to watch this, have the links and everything. So again, thank you all for coming. It has been so great to see you all. And I hope that we can see you very soon again at another workshop.